Thanks for tuning in to the Golden Empire podcast. Make sure to subscribe.
All right, well, episode 2, we're here with Ryan Pilo.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today, man?
Good.
So Ryan just kind of joined the team. We're here with Joe. Like we said, episode 1, we kind of went over ourselves. And what we want to keep doing is just interviewing different entrepreneurs. So this is our second one, and we want to interview Ryan because Ryan's an entrepreneur, but he's also working with us now. He just started working with us. And what I really like about Ryan, just met him recently, is that he's an entrepreneur, but he's only 18. And I really feel like it's important to kind of tell your story because a lot of youngsters want to, like, they associate better with you than they would with me or Joe because we're a little bit older.
Yep.
And really, like, being an entrepreneur is more of like a mindset, and you have that mindset. So you already have like a business that you started, but to me, whether that works out to the way you want it or not, it's more about the mindset that you have. So whatever it is that you have right now as a business, you know, it'll probably go this way or that way. It'll develop into whatever it's going to develop.
Yep.
But because of who you are and the way you think, I think you're going to be successful. And at the end of the day, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're going to have a successful business because you're starting young.
Yep.
And the way you're thinking, is going to make a big difference. And actually, I was with one of your friends. What's your friend's name?
Brian.
Mm-hmm. And he was telling me that you were influencing him in the way he thinks already.
Yep.
And so what we want to do is as we start bringing in people and different ages, we want people to look at like, man, he's 18, like, look what he's doing already. Like, if he's 18, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Versus me, who's, 38. It's like, okay, well, he's 38. But you can start whenever you want. Like, there's no age. So, like, Jack Daniels, he started when he was 13. That he owned his own distillery when he was 13. So, really, there is no age,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, he would sell to both sides of the Civil War.
Okay.
During the Civil War. And he was only 13, yeah. And then you look at someone like the guy from Kentucky Fried Chicken, the Colonel. He started, I forgot what age, but he was a lot older. He was like in the 60s or 70s.
He was old.
Yeah.
So, there's no real age thing. It's more of who you are, your mindset, the way you grew up, the way you're thinking.
I think in his case, the age kind of helped a little bit because it, like, put a face to the company.
Well, what I'm saying, like, you got someone like Jack
yeah.
Daniels who's 13, and then
Yeah.
you got someone in the other spectrum that's in his, 67. So I forget exactly what age he was.
Yeah. Very old,
So
though, for sure.
there is no, because a lot of people say, like, well, I'm too young to start a business.
No.
And it's not about being young. It's about
Being smart about it.
just the way you think and what you want. So that's kind of what I want to get into with you, kind of your mindset, who you are, what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, the people kind of know about that. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Whittier area, so, I mean, as far as you kind of knowing the area, I think you do as well. But basically, like, normal family. My parents owned a furniture store, so I've always been, like, in the retail market, or not retail market, but entrepreneur stuff. So as far as that, I got a lot from my parents, I think, as far as, like, business etiquette and, like, how stuff is done. So
Were you since you were born, were your parents already had a business?
yeah, so I was actually born into the business, we can say. So basically they've had the business for 30 years now, and I'm only 18. So
Do they still have the
after that-
business?
yeah, they actually still do.
Okay. Same thing, furniture and all that
Yeah,
stuff?
same. It's exactly the same place, same area, and literally the same exact place.
Do you have brothers and sisters, or?
I do, but they're a lot older than me. So my oldest sister's 44, and then my brother's 42, and my younger sister is 37.
And are they the same? Do they have like an entrepreneurial mindset, or are they kind of
So
not that type of mindset?
kind of, but they didn't really implement it. They do have that mindset, but they didn't implement it. Not at all, but my younger sister does have, like, she tried doing, like, a scrapbooking company. Like, she makes, like, she used to package up scrapbooking stuff and actually sell it on her website. But then she was a teacher, so she made a decent amount of money as well. So she kind of just jumped across of it and didn't even worry about it anymore. She had kids, and so.
Would you say that you're more like an entrepreneur than them?
Yeah.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that
I think
you
it's-
became more of an entrepreneur than them? I mean, you guys all grew up, in the same environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your mindset is different. Like, I have a brother and a sister, and our mindset's different, but we didn't grow up into an entrepreneurial,
Got it.
you know,
So with me,
atmosphere.
I think the fact that they had a little bit of thoughts of being an entrepreneur, or at least having a little bit of an idea of it, it kind of put me in a place where I was able to get their ideas and kind of like take them into my own head and flip them to where they would work. So I think them being older than me, it helped me out because it gave me more ideas than the normal kid just being 18 with no siblings, or siblings that are the same age as him or them.
And when do you think you first kind of started thinking like that? Like, when did you start thinking like, I want to be a business owner, I want to do my own? Like, when's the first time you remember thinking that?
I mean, when I came up to being 15, I kind of like thought about working, obviously, as something, because I needed money to be able to. Obviously, I liked cars too, so I had to like be able to get my own car or drive, pay for gas. So it kind of like it made me think. I was like, am I really gonna be stuck working with the boss and only making a certain amount per hour compared to trying to expand and make my own business where I'd be able to be my own boss and make my own money as far as that.
So tell us about yourself as far as like, what is it that you're doing right now? Like, what is the business that you started? How far along is it?
So right now, I do mobile detailing. So I'm mobile and I go to you wherever you're at and I wash your car. Basically, I do interior, exterior. I do waxings on the cars. I do small paint correction just because paint correction is a bigger liability to do. But I'm getting there. I mean, as far as right now, I do have a business lined up and I have made it. Like, I have had a couple customers lined up, but I kind of slowed down a little bit ago just because I wanted to get a little more of my money situation, like a actual income coming in. And then as far as like having an Instagram and stuff like that, I have all that stuff set up.
So what do you have set up? You know, Instagram. What else?
Yeah, I mean, email, all that stuff is typical. I have all that stuff set up. As far as me just expanding to it, I think I need to do a little more like Instagram ads and stuff like that just to get it out there.
So because you're a little bit younger and you just don't have all that life experience yet. We'll talk about stuff a little bit different. Like, what is it that you have? Like, your Instagram, is it a personal Instagram? Do you have a business Instagram? Do you have both?
So it's gonna be. I do have a personal Instagram for my name, but I also have a business Instagram for the actual Instagram. It's for the detailing company itself.
What's your business Instagram so people can follow it?
Oh, it's at Exotic Detail with an X. So it's XOTIC .detail DETAL.
So I think that
AIL.
So I think that's something that's very important. A lot of businesses that I meet, or people that are trying to be like their own type of business, they don't have that. They have like one that's both. And I always tell people, like, you should have one. If you want to have a personal one and just do whatever you want on it, that's fine. You do a personal one, but always try to have a business one and then relate that to what you're trying to do, so that people know, like, okay, this is what he's doing, and
For
that
sure,
way people can find you and everything. Do you have what other social media outlets do you have?
As far as for the detailing company, just Instagram now, because it is ran pretty easily through there. I do have a YouTube channel, but it's more like my own personal, but I have posted a video on detailing in itself. I probably will start another YouTube channel that has a little bit more of a detailing background into it.
What about, so you don't have Facebook or LinkedIn, or do you have a website?
So I do have a website. It's currently not up, but I do have the domain name saved and stuff like that. And then Facebook, I moved away from Facebook just because it's basically Instagram, but for the older crowd, and the older crowd kind of already has their detailer or their product line set up to where they either do it themselves or take it somewhere, and they don't really care.
So just like from personal experience and all that stuff like that, like I would suggest that you kind of have all those.
Okay.
Just because, you could be right, but at the same time, like, you could get one client from here, one client from there. Like, I've gotten business through Pinterest. I've gotten business through YouTube. I've gotten business through Snapchat. I got in business through every kind of outlet, because you never know who's looking at it in which way. And sometimes, like, Facebook's better than Instagram, and sometimes Twitter's better than them, and then sometimes I get a lot of business through LinkedIn. And so you kind of want to have all those avenues and then that way
For extra.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to cost you anything. You can run it yourself until it's like, okay, too overwhelmed with business, and then you can hire someone to do that.
Very true. Okay.
But at the very beginning, you could have it, and then, based upon how busy you are, like, sometimes you're going to be more busy, so you're not going to be able to post as often or as much.
Mhm.
But you really want to get out there. Like, so the top social medias, the last time I researched them, YouTube, there's over 2 billion people on YouTube on a monthly basis. But then it was like Facebook was up there, Twitter was up there, um, Instagram was up there.
Mhm.
Same thing with Google Plus was up there. So these were at the time. I haven't researched it recently, but this was probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna get your name more out there,
Mhm.
and then you're gonna get business.
Yeah, it's gonna double or triple my name out there because of the fact that Instagram and Facebook, they have like crossover clients, but
Yeah,
a
and
lot
they-
are different.
And then same like, so what I would do with, because I run our social media, but then I've also ran other social medias. Like when you have Instagram, you could link Facebook, and you could link Twitter, and there's some other ones you could link as well.
Mhm.
So you could actually post one time and send to all three. So you're just getting that extra exposure without having to do extra
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I have seen that with my.
So I
with
mean,
my
if you got
personal
Instagram already, like you said, well, you just link them. So it's not like you have to do more work. You just
it doubles up everything. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Very
like
true.
I said, you never know who's gonna be watching.
Mhm.
And then Facebook has those advertisement ads where you could like geofence them, and you can kind of
So
like,
that's kind of what I'm trying to get into right now. I currently have to do a little bit of that just to get a little more business in my area, so I don't have to go too far. And I feel like a little ad that drops in on their Facebook or Instagram would go a long way.
And then the thing about it is you could kind of determine how long you want to run it, how much
Mhm.
money you want to spend on it. So it's like, okay, I want to just run it for a few days.
Very
I only
flexible,
want
yeah.
So you don't. But the thing about it, it's like you just gotta really hustle if you want your own business. If you want to get it to a certain point, it's like, what are you doing on behalf of your business? Like when you're an entrepreneur, the business is not gonna come to you. You gotta go find it.
Yeah. That's very true.
So everything you can do will help you out. Same thing with websites. Like you could make them very integral, or you could make them very basic. At least have a landing page so someone could see
You
you.
can see it. Yeah.
Because it's like a person without a house. It's like you're homeless. And sometimes when you're a business, it's like
It's homeless.
it's
yeah.
like if you don't have a website, it's like you're not real business. Like people
Got
are
it.
like, it's not real. What is he doing?
Yeah.
So you just kind of want to
And I
have
see that a lot with sometimes I go on Instagram and I see different companies and I try to look for the website like link on their Instagram and I don't see any of it. So it's definitely something that it's kind of like a turn off, I guess, to some people.
Yeah, and then like I said, you can make it very basic, and you could do it yourself. There's different programs you could find it where you can make it yourself, or you could just have someone do it for you. When we first started our first one, my assistant did it. We didn't know anything about web development or anything like that, and we just went to one of these basic
Yeah.
sites and created a basic website. So at least like, okay, they're real. Here's a website, because everybody from our business, I looked at your website. We got that today with one of our, some client that we met with, and they're like, we looked at your website. Everybody's always looking at our website, so, and then you always have to update it. We need to update it as well. And
Yeah.
get that.
I've had a website before and I am familiar with using like the website developer tools. So I think now I just need to get a little bit of time just to work on it and focus on it and I can get that out there. Like I said, I have the domain saved, so basically it just be actually developing it real quick and putting it up.
So what are like your goals for your company? What are your goals for what you're doing right now currently with that company?
The thing is with me, I'm kind of like all over the place, so I like to have a couple different things going at the same time. So I haven't really set any goals for the company itself, but I do want it to be to a point where I don't really have to run it anymore, kind of just as a manager for it. It is kind of difficult with the detailing scene because you have to know the people that are working for you and you have to make sure that they're good at what they're doing. And so I think I want to get it to that point where I can get an income from it and I'm just kind of a boss and I don't really do much. But then again,
Well,
I'm
if you're a
always doing
boss, you
stuff.
always gotta
Yeah,
do
that's
stuff.
true.
But it's not about doing stuff. It's like your role changes.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you're not the one that's on the front lines doing all the little things, but
I'm the one in the back.
you're just making sure everybody's doing stuff and training them.
Yeah.
But you should write down your goals
Mm-hmm.
because you're 40% more likely to hit your goals if you write them down. And this is what I did this with Joe and our team is like not only write down your goals, but also right, like what are you willing to sacrifice to reach those goals?
Reach those
you know,
goals,
like
yeah.
what are you willing to give up? Because anything that you really want in life, you have to sometimes give up something, you know, to really achieve that. So I know you haven't written down your goals, but what are some of the things you want to accomplish with the business? You know, off the top of your head. So like one of them is to have employees, right?
Yeah.
But what else? Like where do you see yourself like a year from now with this company?
I mean, I see myself with a year from now, probably like I'm gonna say like, I mean at least like 2,000 followers on Instagram, just something that gets me around. Obviously, the problem with that is like I'm mobile, so I can't really go like I can, but it's not plausible for me to go out of the state or anything like that. So obviously, probably keep it in California for now. But yeah, like 2,000 followers and just a decent amount of people coming in and wanting my service done. It just feels like
What are you at right now in followers?
73 followers right now. So
And look, the amount of followers, yeah, it's important, but what's more
Loyal
important
followers.
is the right followers. So
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of followers on our social media, but we get a lot of business from it because the people that are on there following us are CEOs, or you know they're upper management and just people that can make decisions, or
Yeah.
people that are interested in what we're doing.
yeah, yeah,
So we get tons of people reaching out to us for possible business.
yeah.
So, you know, if you could get to the 2,000 or more, great. But all those other outlets are going to help you get there too. You know,
Yeah.
the YouTube channel and all
Yeah.
that stuff like that.
For sure, it's very true.
So we went to a car show together the other day, and we're walking around and we're looking at all these cars, and like I know what some cars are, but I really don't know what they are. And you knew every car, like
Yeah.
you're like, this is a V4, this is 19 whatever 97 2000, like, and I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about cars, you know, like just basic stuff. Like, why do you know so much about cars?
I think I've always liked cars since I was young, and it's kind of just been a passion of mine that I've always liked or loved, and I just literally learn a lot by just watching. For example, I watch a lot of different YouTubers that do car stuff. I'm all over the place with different YouTube videos that I
Do
watch.
some shout
but-
outs, like who do you listen to so we could watch them, and then people like would.
So like one that I've followed for a while now is B is for Build. He they basically take like a salvage car and they rebuild it, and they do their own touch to it and stuff like that, and they do a lot of different variety of cars too. So I get a lot of the information just passed on because I watched a video and I see that this car has this engine with this power, and then it's this year and the body style is this and that. So I get a lot of that from just different YouTube channels, like TJ Hunt as well as one I watch, and I've gotten a lot of different different spectrums of cars, because I'll watch videos on Civics and see how they can make this much power, and then I also watch videos on Lamborghini Aventadors and how they make this much power. It's just like I'm always watching something on either like how the brakes work to make run cooler brakes and make them run cooler, but as well as good brake power and just different. Just I'm all over the spectrum with cars. So I think that's why I know a lot about it, because I pay attention and I kind of just I'm literally like all over the place. Like I'll watch this video and then I'll jump to this video and it's completely different. It's a Japanese car versus a German car. It's just all over the place.
So you've been saying I'm all over the place a few times.
Yeah.
And like with me, with my business and everything, like I don't like to do one thing either. Like I like to do different businesses.
Mhm.
You know, so we have different channels of our business, and I'm always trying to like, how can we do something different? So I'm kind of like that too. I'm not scatterbrained, but you know, I like to do multiple things. So like the important thing about doing multiple things is finding the right people to work with you, so you can kind of plug them into different parts, so that they can help
Yeah,
you.
it's all part of an equation. It all has to like, you have to if you want to do this, you got to find that one person that's gonna help you out with that, and be able to do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, so I would say like for me, I'm pretty good at everything, but there's someone like on my team that's better than me at certain things, but I know how to do all of it, so I can
Mhm.
kind of help out with all of it. But then I get people that are like more of an expert in that to
Yeah.
kind of do that part, and just kind of assist them because I know how it's done, and it kind of worked so that we could all be better. So you can do multiple things, you know. kind of want to build something first, whatever you feel like is the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
And then start plugging people in, and then kind of helping them, training them, and then letting them do their own thing. But
For sure.
it's not bad to be
All over the place.
well, not all over the place, but wanting to do multiple things.
Mhm.
So what, like, you're really big into cars. Is that your true passion? Like, what is your biggest passion?
Honestly, probably cars, because that's one thing that I'll always have that I won't be able to stop doing. Like, literally, cars would be all like, probably one of my favorite things to do is to deal with cars.
What is it
Mm,
about
cars.
cars that you love so much?
I think since I was, like I said, since I was a kid, I had that.
You are a kid. What are you talking about?
Well,
Like, since yesterday?
Since yesterday. Like, I've always had that poster of that one car that it was. I remember it was a Lamborghini Gallardo in orange. And my favorite color is orange, and it's just. And literally, and now I'm dealing with cars like this, and it's just something that'll always be with me, I think.
So when is the first time you ever rode in a Lambo?
As far as rode in a Lambo, it was 5 weeks ago, I think.
How did it
Around
feel to be in a Lambo?
It felt like I thought it would feel.
What does that feel like
But
for
if-
you?
I mean, for me, it was a different moment, because like it was a lot of build up, because like I've always.
I mean, I feel like that about girls, but not about cars.
Okay, well, for me, it's cars.
You know how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does he feel?
Yeah.
How does
See,
he feel,
let's see your
Joe?
explanation.
Like, what is?
Oh,
How do you feel about cars?
oh, cars for me are, more. I'm all about performance. That's what got me into the exotics.
So what? When you wake up in the morning, like, what motivates you? Like, what's your first thought?
I'm always thinking how I can make something better. So I'm always like, depending on, it doesn't matter what I'm talking, like, if I'm talking about my car, I'm always thinking what I can do that's relatively cheap at this point that will make it feel better or make my business better.
What are you driving?
C230 is a 97 Mercedes.
And what's your goal? What's your dream car?
Right now,
If you had all the money in the
see,
world,
that's the thing. I'm like I said, I'm all over the place, so I don't think I could have one specific.
but give me
dream
like,
car.
all right, how many do you have? Like, well, how many cars do you want?
I mean, for right now in my collection, I have like a specific 3 that I've always wanted that I'll have.
Okay, what are the 3? So that way, hey, what's your time frame to getting these 3? So we could look back and be like,
Okay,
okay,
well-
Ryan got these 3.
So, the time frame for the 3, I haven't thought about that yet.
But
But a
we're
time
here.
frame for one,
Okay,
for one of them, I'm gonna get it before I turn 19.
When
So
you turn
this
19,
year,
like in
this
a,
year,
in a week or
2020,
what? When you
October.
okay, so you got a few months. All right,
Yeah.
what's a car? What's one of your cars? that you-
Porsche GT3 RS.
Okay.
So, but the older one, so the 2007.
Whatever, man. As long as you like it and that's what you want,
that's-
you know. But you got to do all that stuff that we're talking about. You know,
Mhm.
like really advertise and market yourself to get more business so you could get there.
Yeah.
What motivates you?
I think what motivates me is wanting to show and prove to people that I can do it, and that I wake up wanting to do it. I think that's what motivates me. It's like the fact that I know I'm gonna do it, and it might take longer than what I think, or it might not, but the fact that I'm gonna do it at one point is what motivates me.
What's your biggest fear?
Honestly, I don't have a biggest fear. Like, there's nothing that is super huge in my fear category. There's nothing really.
So you don't fear failure?
No.
Why not? I mean,
Because-
a lot of people fear it. Like, why don't you fear it?
I don't fear it because I don't see that as an option. It's not going to be an option for me.
Well, so failure, you know, it's kind of like you kind of determine what's failure. Like,
Because failure is just something that helps you push up to the next thing. Like, there's never bad failure. Every failure is good, because you see what failed and you take that next step to make it better and not fail again. And there's a lot of, I mean, obviously there's a lot of failure, and that's why I don't.
Yeah, I
fear
mean,
it.
you're, you know, so like obviously here's where you're at, here's where you're wanting to get, and in between that, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that's not gonna go exactly like you want.
And there's gonna be stuff that's not gonna go how I want.
Yeah, there's not gonna be stuff that's the way you want it to be. But at the end of the day, as long as you're growing right and heading in that direction,
Mhm.
and like you're saying,
As long as I get to point B from
it's
point
not
A.
you know it's not that there is no failure. Like you're gonna. Cause
No,
you
there's
have-
definitely gonna be failure.
but-
I know that.
But I mean, I guess true failure is like if you give up, right?
Mhm.
You know, you don't reach what you really want because then you're always gonna look back and be like, I didn't make it.
Mhm.
So, you know, that'll probably be something that's more like true failure.
Yeah.
That's a very entrepreneurial way of thinking, learning from all your mistakes.
Yeah.
Every, entrepreneur and business owner has definitely had their fair share of fails.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's been successful or anyone that's achieved high goals, if you study them, you know, they had ups and downs. They had moments where it wasn't going the way they wanted it.
Yeah.
But they stuck with it. They really believed in what they wanted and who they were, and you know, they accomplished what they wanted.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's one of the things that I learned from the YouTubers that I do watch. For example, he was Bees for Build. He was building. If you scroll down on that page, he was building a more. He was building that. Keep going down. He was building a 240 Z, like older 240Z, with a BMW V10 engine into it. So it was a lot of fabrication. He actually thought he was going to be able to put it in the stock frame of the car, but he ended up having to redo the full frame of the car and rebuild it completely and make it custom so that he was able to fit that engine into the car correctly where it needed to go. So it's actually higher up than that. Yeah, he did do an RX-7. So if you see right here, that's actually what it started as. Basically, he thought he was going to be able to put it in the 240 chassis, but it wasn't going to be able to fit. So he had to go ahead and rerun the full make a whole chassis in less than a year because he had the time frame of having to make it to SEMA. So I think if that doesn't show you how failure helps, I don't know what else can, because he was thinking, okay, it's gonna be easy. I'm gonna put this engine in here and do all the wiring and that's it. But no, it was like he had to take a whole frame and build a whole frame over again.
Yeah, and then there's always unintended consequences,
Mm-hmm.
right? So sometimes you're trying to do something and unintentionally you figure out something else
Yeah.
because you were trying to do something. So
Yeah,
there's
so I
always
think there
that
was,
as well.
There was a lot of that stuff in there too. Like he did this and he's like, oh, he realized it's not gonna work, but then he thought about it and he's like, you know what, it actually works better this way. So yeah, there's a lot of that in there too.
So who are some of your role models?
Honestly, him, Bees for Build, Chris from Bees for Build. He's like, he has an imagination similar to mine where I just want to make random things happen that are awesome, and that's kind of one. Like he put 800 horsepower engine into 240Z that wasn't gonna have that power any other way than doing something like that. And also the different builds he's done. But
So since you say you have an awesome mind and you want to do all these different things and you have your detail business, I'm sure there's other thoughts in your mind of stuff that you want to do. What are some of the other things that you want to do?
yeah, I was actually talking to Joel about this today. I want to be able to have a couple vending machines and in different locations. I know people do them in like laundromats and stuff like that. And so they put the vending machine in there. They buy a vending machine for, I don't know, $300, $400, and then they fill it with stuff, and then they obviously sell
Thousands
stuff
of
out.
dollars, and I have someone that's actually selling them. So if you
Yeah.
want me to connect them,
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
it's a few $1,000s per machine.
Yeah, I was looking for some used ones first.
Yeah,
get
they're
into it.
used because if you get them new, they're even more expensive.
Uh-huh.
But here's what I would suggest before you buy them, is try to find places where you're gonna
Yeah.
place them.
Yeah.
Because
I do have one place right
okay,
now.
yeah, I have someone that just came in the other day that was looking to sell their vending machines.
Mhm.
As long as you got a good location, that's all that really matters. That's where you want to start off with. So if you don't have a location and you buy them, it's gonna be hard. But if you have a location,
Yeah.
so I could connect you with that person. You could talk about it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
But you could also look at what they would cost new, but it's not hundreds, it's thousands. We're
Yeah.
talking 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, more depending on
Yeah.
the quality, what you want to sell in them.
Yeah. In another guy that actually motivates me, or is my what's the word?
Role model,
Yeah.
but it's someone that you look up to.
Another
or
guy that's my role
inspires you.
model is Gary Vee. So he does a lot of like flipping. He flips a lot of stuff. So he buys at this price and then flips it to a higher price. And I've seen him go through Craigslist and search stuff, and I've done that for the vending machines. So that's why I'm saying I have found some for like $300 that need a little bit of work, but I'm willing to put that work in because, let's say I stock it up with stuff and then I sell that stuff. That's already making me my profit for the machine. Like I already paid the machine off with selling out once on all the stuff. So I think if I'm able to do that, and then I can upgrade to a newer machine that's gonna produce less problems as well.
So Gary Vee, I listen to Gary Vee as well, and obviously he does that, but he also has his own media company.
Yeah. He's all over the place.
Yeah, he is, but he's kind of like centered as well. Then he's got people, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, to his point, he does have not bigger companies, but a bigger role in a lot of those companies. So he kind of like has to split it off.
But if you like look at him, and the same thing we're talking about, when he first started, he was helping his parents run their wine company, right? And he spent, I think he said, like 10 years. Or you could research him, but years where he was just not taking days off, not taking vacation, working long hours, paying himself very minimal. And then he created that business and took what his father started in his family from where it was to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Is
And
that
then,
the same company he put on online?
Yeah,
He was selling. He sold to a football player or something like that, or a guy that had a football player, and then they sent him a jersey signed by the football player. That was like $300 worth. But then they were able to get an order from that guy for about, I believe it was $1 million or something like that of order.
For the wine?
Yeah, it was online. So he was able to give something to somebody that gave him an opportunity to make more money. So like basically, if you think about it, he lost $350, but then gained up just because that connection with the customer was able to pay off.
Actually, he started even younger too. Like I think maybe when he was your age, like buying and selling baseball cards and stuff like that.
He
at
was
trade
never
shows.
lazy. He would always like if he had nothing to do, he'd search Craigslist for a couch or something like that and flip it.
Is there anyone else you listen to like besides Gary Vee?
No, right. Not really. I kind of think about what I watch, and I don't really.
So just go back to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, who else you listen to besides Gary Vee? And I think you were saying that's pretty much who you listen to.
Yeah. As far as Gary Vee, I do see a couple of his stories, and different like TED Talks from him and stuff. But basically, I'm kind of random with what I watch. I don't really like keep it in mind as I keep it the messages in my mind, but I kind of tend to forget who they come from.
So yeah, like I listen to Gary Vee, but there's a lot of other people I listen to because, they say motivation is like showers. You got to take them all the time. So same thing with motivation. You got to like always, and I'm always listening to stuff. So I'm listening to Gary Vee, Les Brown, Nick Vujicic, Andy Friselis, Inky Johnson I just found, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan. So like all these different people. Because Tony Robbins, because sometimes the message they send me, depending on who's delivering or what the topic is, sometimes it clicks in my head more. Yeah. So sometimes Gary clicks more, sometimes Les Brown clicks more, or whatever. So I'm listening to different people to see, what kind of motivates me that day or goes into my head. Mm-hmm. And then is there anything you kind of watch as well, like to help you motivate yourself?
I mean, there's no shows or anything like that I watch. Most of my day consists of when I have time is YouTube. I kind of just stick on there, and I do have a certain amount of people that I'm subscribed to, but really like sometimes I'll just scroll through the homepage and I'll kind of see different things that I want to see, or just it randomly is something that catches my attention and I'll watch it.
So something I like to watch is TED Talks. and then there's different ones. So like, not I don't like every episode of TED Talks, but there's certain categories or people,
Yeah.
and I listen to them, and then like their stories or their topics are I'll enjoy.
Yeah. Their
And-
failure, or depending on what type of story it is, but sometimes it's their failures, and it helps somebody else work around that. And
Yeah, and just the way that they think, you know. So sometimes when you listen to someone else, like you kind of already know it, and you're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. So it kind of triggers you to think differently.
yeah,
And so I do a lot of that, and I'll watch a lot of like history, because history repeats itself.
Yeah.
And then you know, sometimes it might be in one industry, but you could apply it to another one. So like Henry Ford, since you're a big car guy, he created the assembly line out of a meat packing company.
Yeah.
Like he went to packing company. He's like, oh well, this guy does this part, this guy does that part, and then he's like, well, why don't we do that with automobiles instead of one guy creating the whole
I
automobile?
believe he copyrighted that, or
I don't know if he trademarked that or copyrighted
believe
or
he
any of
did,
that,
because-
but it wasn't like his idea, and he got that like from a totally completely different industry,
yeah,
and then applied it to that, and then that kind of helped revolutionize the car industry, because now you can make them faster, so which allowed them to be, you know, cheaper, so people could afford it.
Yeah.
And a quicker turnaround as well, because now you didn't need a specialist that knew how to do everything. You just need someone that kind of, all right, they know how to do this part. And then same thing with him, you know, talking about failure and success. The one that really hit it was a Model T, and they made a Model A, a Model B, a Model C until they hit T. So all those other ones didn't really
they didn't really take off.
until Model T. So how many times did he try before he really was successful? You know, that's a Model T.
Yeah, I've heard of Model A and Model T, and I didn't really hear the other ones.
Right.
But
Yeah, you really got to research it. So there was this documentary, and it was The Men Who Built America, I think it was called. So it's kind of all the founding fathers of the Industrial Revolution. So all the people that were like really successful, big businesses at the very beginning. And, you know, Ford was one of them. Rockefeller was another one. Carnegie and Vanderbilt, all these guys. But it's kind of like when you're an entrepreneur, it's kind of all the same. You know, it's like you just got to apply it to your business. So
yeah, as far as what you said right there, where you have to research, or you said to actually go back and look for that stuff, I don't really go and look for things. I kind of just see what I stumble upon, and I take that information.
yeah. I mean, like I said, you know, everyone's kind of different, but
Mhm.
you could definitely learn a lot from, you know, different industries and history,
Yeah.
and then apply it to what you're doing. Because history repeats itself, so it's kind of if you see someone else doing it, and then there's no such like this is what I heard someone say once, like there's no such thing as a new idea. So usually it's a combination of ideas put together. So it's kind of like Starbucks. Well, people have been drinking coffee forever, and people have been sitting down, and someone just said, "Hey, well, why don't we put this together?" You know, so like if you're watching a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of things you could probably put together, and like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what, no one's doing it this way.
Yeah, and that's true. I have seen a lot of things where it's like that.
But I think that's the whole thing about like who we are and what we're doing and the people we're around. Like, you know, I'm trying to create an atmosphere for myself and people around me where we're like all entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and we're throwing ideas at each other, and then not only throwing ideas at each other, but pushing each other to actually do them.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, well, go and do it. You know, like, and this is what you need to do it. A lot of people talk about ideas, and like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it's like you just got to do it. So that's what I'm trying to surround myself with, and that's kind of like what we're trying to do, and that's kind of the reason you're in here, and the reason you're talking and all that stuff, because you're that mindset like we talked about at the beginning. And kind of since you're the younger generation, you know, like I said, different age groups are gonna respond differently, and
And I think one good thing about me is kind of, since I have been around older people for I mean most of my life, it kind of I've gotten that maturity where I can talk with older people or just different people in general. I think that helps me out a little bit too, because I'm able to talk to a 60-year-old company owner the same as I'm able to talk to my 16-year-old friend, or vice versa. It's something that I feel like helps me in that situation.
yeah, and it's probably because you know you seem a lot younger than your siblings, so you've probably been around people that are always older than you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just natural now. you know. But that was kind of it. Like that's why we wanted to bring you in, talk about that stuff. You know, I want to get a different perspective from a younger generation. But the fact that you're doing the things that you want to do and the things that you talk about is what's gonna make other people be like, I want to do it too.
Yeah.
So you know, because I judge people, so I judge everybody.
Hey.
Well, let me tell you how I judge them now. Here's how I judge people. I judge people based upon what they say versus what their actions are.
Yep.
So I don't care, you know, ethnicity, weight, none of that stuff. What I care about is like, okay, if you say I'm gonna do something, and then you don't do it, it's like, well, you know, what are you? You're
What are
just
you doing?
you're
Yeah.
just lying, but you're not really lying to me. You're just lying to yourself, you know.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
think
how that's how I judge people. I don't judge like everything else doesn't matter, you know, as long as you're a good person. But
yeah, I'm kind of the same like that as well, where it's their actions that are what makes them a good or a bad person, kind of in that way of saying it. It's kind of more on the part of me doing, for example, free work compared to not, like, obviously if I'd have a job I'd be making money, but my free work that I'm giving to somebody, or my time that I'm giving to somebody is giving more of a connection than.
yeah, and let's
Yeah.
talk about that because I've done a lot of stuff I've done it for free, or I spent a lot of hours doing stuff, and then I've also, you know, done it real cheap. But really, it's if you're learning and you're growing, you're getting exposure, you know, all that stuff is important. It's like school. Like you gotta pay to go to school and
Yep.
get an education, and then once you pay, you know, college, and then you leave, you're not even guaranteed a job,
Yeah.
and you just wasted all that money, you know. So if you could tie yourself to people that are being highly successful, and it's kind of like a internship job, really, you know, like an internship job, you don't get paid for it, but you learn all that,
Mhm.
and then if you apply it, then you can make money off of it.
Yeah.
So as long as, you know, sometimes you need to do that kind of stuff to put yourself out there to learn, and then you can, when people are like, well, what have you done? Who have you worked with? And like, well, I got this client.
Dum, 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 dum.
I've worked with these people.
Yeah.
And they can't deny it, you know.
It's kind of like that with me. I went to one of the biggest conventions in the automotive industry. It's in Las Vegas. It's called SEMA. So basically, they have all the cars there inside all the different shops that do either performance mods, modifications to the body, or anything of the car. And for example, I went to that show, and it was 4 days long, and I was able to almost do everything with those 4 days. I wasn't as close as I wanted to be, but the last day at 4, they closed the show, but they actually have everybody drive out of the show. So basically, there's trucks coming out, there's Jeeps, there's supercars, there's normal cars that have different things done to them, and they all come out of the show, and they all go through one route to go through a parade, and you can't get out of it. So that's something that's a little bit negative to the actual show itself, but I don't think they can do much about that. So they all have to come out and go through the parade, and some cars don't even run, I guess, because some people take them because they didn't finish them, so they don't run. So then they end up having to just wait that whole 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever it is to get out of the show. And I was going, one of BS Rebuild, actually, their car blew a belt instantly, so they turned the car off and just pushed it out a little bit, so I helped them push it out. And then they started back up, and they were actually able to make it all the way out with driving it out, and it didn't drain the battery. And as soon as they got out into the street, it dumps out, the exit of it dumps out into a street just on the side of the road. So just a random road, and it's kind of like a hard exit. So they were able to make it out, and I wasn't there yet because I was running to find them where the exit was to help them out even more. And they turned into a parking lot, and they parked it right there. So now all the traffic is coming out of there. It's a one-way street, so there's not much traffic able to come back in, and they have to get a trailer. And there's another car that I've seen before that also needed to get out of the low entrance. So I kind of like helped them out when they were already in the parking lot. And the other car was actually Mazay Formula. They have a 4-rotor RX-7. So
I've seen that car.
yeah. And so basically, as I was waiting for the other guys to get their trailer in, the other guys already had it planned where they were going to have their trailer there.
Nice.
So basically, we got out of the exit, out of the entrance with the low car, then we were able to pull the trailer up, or they were able to pull the trailer up and set it up, and then I helped them push the car in because it's a really loud car, so they don't really want to have it on
Fired
in
up.
in the street where it was, because literally the exhaust was shooting right out the fender into the apartments right there. So
Yeah.
so we kind of just killed the engine, pushed it in, and that was on a Friday, and then that was in Vegas, and I was going home that night, and on Saturday they had a race event with that car.
That was this year, right?
Yeah, that was this year.
Yeah.
Oh, 19.
19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was October-ish. Yeah, it was October. And so basically they got the car out, and then they invited me to go to the track event with them in Fontana. And I live 45 minutes from Fontana, so I was like, okay, that's not bad at all. So
Nice.
I ended up having to leave, and so we figured that I was going to go to this track the next day. And that connection is something that's going to help me out with a lot of different things, because they're not only do they have a following, but they also have a bunch of different connections in themselves that with just that one
Just
activity of helping them. And then the next day I played like pretend race team with them and helping them like
What
dial
event
in the
was
car
that?
and stuff.
In Fontana?
It was 7 stock, so it was all rotary stuff.
Oh, okay.
All rotary stuff.
I
So
didn't see that.
yeah,
That was like November,
Octoberish.
Right,
Yeah, it was
okay.
towards the end of October.
right after SEMA.
Yep, it was
Obviously,
literally the
the
day
next day.
right after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then they had the connection with Hoonigan, which
Nice.
was for the Burnyard in Irwindale, another track.
Okay.
And so they had that day set up to go over there, and
yeah, you told me about.
and they blew the engine up at the track day. Not the engine, the transmission. They blew the transmission. So then the next day the day after that, so it was Monday, I went to go help them put the transmission in, and Tuesday was for Hoonigan. So like I helped them out like 3 consecutive days, and then they invited me to go to Hoonigan, which I was then in the video for Hoonigan. I got, I believe, 1 million views in 5 days. So like a lot of views, and I don't know if I check now, it's probably really high.
What video was that?
That was the video of them doing a donut in that car.
What channel was that?
Hoonigan.
It was
Daily
Hoonigan?
Transmission, I believe.
Okay.
Let's check real quick. But yeah, I mean, that alone just gave me a lot of connections, and they're actually from Alabama. So me being here in LA, it kind of helps them out. So so if they like, and we are doing things together. So
Mhm.
I think me being here is kind of helpful, because I mean all this stuff kind of
You can
runs out
cover
of here.
SoCal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
You know, that's like I said, that's kind of what we wanted to talk about.
Want to
And-
finish with a favorite quote?
All right, so I got one for you guys.
Hit us with the knowledge.
Here, quote for you guys. If you choose to do what is easy, your life will be hard. If you choose to do what is hard, your life will be easy. So, you know, like you really got to put it into work while you're young and all that stuff, and do the sacrifices and do the things that matter, and put what is needed first versus what is wanted, right? Because if you start doing what you want instead of what you need to do, like down the road, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're working out and you want to grow muscles and all that stuff, like you need to eat healthy, you need to do all that work
Yeah, it's all the
so that you could live a healthier life down the road. So the more you could put into it now, the better your life, quality of your life will be later. And if you study like Gary Vee, you know, like you put in a lot of work, and now he's starting to reap the benefits of all that work he did when he was when he was younger. And and if you study anyone that's highly successful, you'll see that. And if you talk to them, you'll see that they've put in a lot of work. Bill Gates, you know, he's one of the wealthiest men in the world, right? Top 10 all the time, worth billions. He worked 10 years straight without taking a day off. But a lot of people don't see that; they just see the end result. So, you know, that's why that quote, you know, if you do what is hard, your life will be easy, versus if you do what's easy, your life will be hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and very very true.
So,
I believe that a lot too.
all right. Well, thanks, Ryan.
No problem.
Thanks for joining the team.
For having me.
Throw out your socials real quick.
Yeah, so at Ryan.Pilo, Pilo, and I mean at exotic with X, so XOTIC .DETAIL
And
on
that's
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, and you can get my other stuff through there as well.
All right, cool.
And you can follow Golden Empire at Golden Empire DIST on Instagram.
What about yours?
Yeah, what about yours?
At Natural Born Racers. Thanks for listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us on Instagram.